Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire their community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today, Anthony Kilner, is a psychic, medium and author, and the topic we'll be discussing is spiritual insights and healing through psychics and mediums. Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks for having me, Megan. It's lovely to be here.
So, Anthony, what's the difference between a psychic and a medium?
A psychic does one thing, a medium does another. They can cross over those boundaries. In mediumship, a medium is there to connect with our departed loved ones from the spirit world. And there's a lot of healing that takes place on a heart level during that connection. Whereas a psychic will use more tools, so tarot cards, divining rods, crystals, those sorts of things, to help someone understand where they're at right now and moving forward. So they're two very different sort of modalities, yet the crossovers are quite often very minimal. So you can have a psychic medium, you can have a straight medium, or you can have someone that calls themselves a straight psychic. Now, to highlight that point, I brought in two tools that we can use. One is tarot cards, and this is the Rider-Waite deck, so it's a very old deck, one of the very first decks of tarot, and we can do a whole segment just on tarot. But how would you like to shuffle those for me?
Sure.
And then the other thing I brought in is a set of divining rods, because divining rods are quite often used for not only for finding water and other bits and pieces, they're used by people to get yes and no answers, like a pendulum with a crystal on it, same sort of thing. And so to give you an idea of how this works, I always make sure my hands are locked and I'll ask the question, so open for yes, and they just open up. Then I can go crossover for no, and they'll cross over for no. And then I can say, okay, where's Megan? And point to Megan. Now you can see that's happening without my hands moving, and that's the important part. And so you can get yes, no answers. I use them to measure energy and all sorts of different things. And so that's what you're looking for, is how they react. So one of the things when we talk about how divining rods work is my energy comes through here, it doesn't touch the divining rod at all, and then it flows out and goes up here and up to the spirit world, and this is where I see the universe or spirit actually using it. Now, I can see the energy at the end of this, so I can put my hand up here and grab that energy and just move it like that around, and then I can go back the other way. And it's stretching on me, there you go, and it's going the other way. And so we're talking energy, and the energy of our body and the universe is what helps us understand how things can work and then how we can get our answers for that. Now, you've been shuffling those cards for me. Now, I won't say anything personal or private, but just drag along a card, which one feels right to you. So let's see what you've drawn, Megan.
The King of Cups.
The King of Cups. Wow, what an interesting card to draw. So the King of Cups, you're in your strength, you're emotionally there. Cups represent emotions as one of the main things, and your emotions are contained. You're surveying all that is around you and working out, okay, am I in the good space, not so good space? However, what that tells me is there's some confusion around your emotional state at the moment, and that's okay, you're on top of it. Okay, so it's a very, very brief reading, and we're not getting too personal.
When it comes to healing, I've heard there's different approaches between psychics and mediums.
There is, and there's a school of thought out there that says a medium and a psychic can't be a good healer for different reasons, and I don't subscribe to that, because I believe that all of that energy, it comes from intent and from the heart space. Best healing ever. So if we wanted to break it down a little bit though, a medium can use healing guides, connect up that on that level, and use universal energy to affect good healing, or energy work as I like to call it. And a psychic can utilize things like crystals and sound and vibration, again more tools, and their energy to do it. I believe the energy that's supplied by both happens automatically. So some of the modalities like Reiki, where you're using symbology and hands over the body, as different to some healing that is sound related or hands-on healing, they're all sort of quite different in the modalities, but the energy is still coming from Mother Earth. It's still coming from the universe, and then our intent is to bring about or facilitate good, balanced, energetic healing so it gets the body to heal itself.
What advice can you offer our audience if they'd like to book a psychic or a medium or learn about them?
My suggestion is word of mouth is really good. All right, so talk to people. Ask them if they've seen someone they would recommend. You know, there's lots of ways you can look on the internet now and do all sorts of research that way. However, going with somebody that you trust, that tells you that that person was good, that's the way to go. When it comes to things to look for, is you ring up the medium or the psychic, ask what they're going to give you. What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? And, you know, lots of people have rung me up in the year, oh, how good are you? And I think, well, that's so subjective because I'm only as good as my next reading, all right? So don't ask that question. Find out, how long have you been doing it? How are you going to work? What can I expect? Can I bring a photo of my loved one? Those sorts of things. And also have a list of questions that you might want answered. Because even though, for example, a reading might just be mediumship for the whole time, there could be little snippets of psychic stuff that comes into the middle of it. And so you never know what you're going to quite get. But they're the things that I would be suggesting are really strong points to look at, to book a reading or even an energy session, a healing session. To me, whether you're learning or getting a reading, it's got to work practically. It's got to make sense to you. If your teacher or the person you get to give you a reading, if they're not making sense, it's not going to work. And all the same rules apply to finding a teacher, to sit circle, to learn. Question the teacher. Ask how long they've been teaching, what do they teach, how do they teach it? And all those questions are really, really important to ask. And then find out if they'll let you go and sit in their group for a couple of weeks to try it and see how it fits for you.
Thanks, Anthony. That's such rich information. If you'd like to know more about Anthony Kilner and spiritual insights and healing through psychics and mediums, please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, Sue Williams, Doctor of Quantum Counselling and Clinical Hypnotherapist, will be talking about, can hypnotherapy really boost athletes and everyone's performance and general well-being? Welcome back. Our second guest today, Sue Williams, is a Doctor of Quantum Counselling and a clinical hypnotherapist. And the topic we'll be discussing today is, can hypnotherapy increase athletic and everyone's performance and our general well-being? Welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Megan. It's a real pleasure to be here.
So, Sue, can hypnotherapy really boost athlete and everyone's performance and our everyday well-being?
Certainly can, and it's been proven time and time again. In the general population as well as with athletes. And when you think of hypnosis, a lot of people think immediately of the stage hypnotists, and they're there, they serve a purpose, they're for entertainment. And when you come to a hypnotherapist, it's not scary, it's really just you going into a very relaxed state, feeling calm. They're less likely to block suggestions, and it's all about getting rid of negative mindset and installing positive suggestions moving forward. So in hypnosis of all kinds, we access the subconscious mind. We have learned by repetition. For example, we don't have to think about getting up out of the chair and walking. We don't have to consciously think, where are my legs? You know, where do I have to put my feet? The subconscious mind has learnt that by repetition from a very young age. Just think of a baby learning to walk. But the unfortunate thing about the subconscious mind is that we can train it in ways that aren't in our best interest. So anything that we are subjected to time and time again will become natural for our subconscious mind, and it will feed it back to us as normal behaviour. So if you come to a hypnotherapist, we start our session by getting you really relaxed. So we allow the conscious mind just to drift away, have a bit of a rest. And with some of the techniques, we actually formulate that the conscious mind is a separate being. And that separate being can just go and have a sleep for a while. As the hypnotherapy session progresses, that subconscious mind will often bring forward things that the person wasn't really aware of. But deep down, the subconscious mind says, excuse me, we really need to deal with this. So I'm telling you about it now, bringing it forward because perhaps it's been suppressed for a very long time. It's something that the person hasn't wanted to re-experience. So that's what we do. We bypass the analytical conscious mind, which is this frontal part of the brain where the thoughts and that sort of thing are created. We go down to the subconscious mind and then we can find what the problems are, convince the subconscious mind that it can change, and change is a huge issue with everyone. And you really need to be in that mindset of wanting to change before the hypnotherapy will be effective.
How can we use mindset and mindfulness in our everyday lives?
Well, mindset and mindfulness are very much related to hypnosis. I think they're almost a bit like self-hypnosis because we are using our mind to create change within ourselves. So if you think what you do during the day, you may get up and your first thoughts are, oh no, I have to go to that job again today. And when I get there, there's going to be all this tension and whatever. So perhaps rather than starting the day on that really low note, you get up and think, oh, wow, I have a job. I'm going to work today and I'm going to be paid. There are people there that I don't necessarily get on very well with, but perhaps if I change my tone with them, or just if I come out and just start chatting to them in a really nice way, maybe they'll chat back and there won't be this tension. But even if that doesn't work, I'll keep happy. I'll know that the job that I'm doing is worthwhile, and I am really lucky these days to have a job. So it's this mindset that we are totally capable of changing within ourselves. We just have to realise that change is possible and that more often than not it is for the good. And the funny thing with humans is we get very comfortable with our discomfort. So if you are getting up every morning and just dreading going to work, well, it's very hard to change from that because that's what you're used to. Use mindfulness, which is being aware of your own thoughts, your own actions. Doesn't cost anything, it's easy to do, and our subconscious mind learns by repetition. So the more often you get up with that changed mindset, the more you'll become used to it, the more it will become the new you.
Sue, what are 3 tips you can offer our viewers to use in their everyday lives?
Expanding more on what we were saying a moment ago is being aware. So when you get up in the morning, check yourself. What is your mindset when you get up? I'm not saying everyone gets up with that really depressed and down feeling. Some people get up and think, oh, another bright day. What can I do to make today better? And that's a fabulous mindset to have because that means you'll be able to build on that during the day. You'll be able to strike up conversations with people. And you can also use the mindset and mindfulness to feel how you are physically in your body. You can do a physical check of your body, perhaps when you get out of the shower so that you've warmed up a bit, your muscles are warmed up and you're ready to get on with your day. Just start at the top of your head, move down, check if there are any aches and pains anywhere, check if there's any tension in your neck and shoulders, and after you shower you shouldn't have tension in those areas. So if you do, then that's a good place to start. Why have I got this tension? Let me consciously loosen those muscles. Why do I have the tension? Are the thoughts that I'm thinking inappropriate to my well-being? So then I can change it. Go right down through your body, and sometimes you'll hold negative thoughts in your stomach. And as soon as you think of someone who that negative thought is about, you'll get that griping pain in your stomach. And you'll think, well, why is that happening? So it's using your mind to change your physical being. So the main thing is that the mind is very powerful. You are able to use it at any time, and you should investigate just how your mind's set, and using mindfulness will benefit you every day.
Thanks for those amazing tips, Sue. If you'd like to know more about Sue Williams and how hypnotherapy can aid athletic and our everyday performance and our general well-being, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, health, life and love coach Belle Murphy is talking about the secrets of long-lasting love. Welcome back. Today we have Belle Murphy on the show, a health, life and love coach, and our topic is the secrets of long-lasting love. Welcome to the show, Heather, and tell us, how many secrets are there?
There's actually quite a few, Kirsty, which I'm sure you can appreciate. If I can offer some great advice, as a bit of a mentor and being pretty seasoned in love myself, love is a skill like anything, and I think there's been a cultural perception, or some of us who may have been raised with a religious overtone, and certainly I had an early Christian upbringing, that love just, it's just this thing that comes naturally. So I've certainly grown up through relationships, and I've gotten better at it, and there are obviously some skills which are really important to create a sustainable, loving life. And then, a long-lasting, juicy, vital, fun, passionate, romantic relationship. Number one is definitely to fall in love with yourself first, and to know your strengths and identify your weaknesses. Now, if you know that you've got a really flaky, bad habit, for example, being bad with money, that's probably something which you prefer to address sooner rather than later, because that's one of those things that can make sustainable love tricky. A great saying is, when financial hardship comes through the front door, love tends to fly out the window. So that's one thing. It's like being aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are, and if you can, address those weaknesses, or it's something that can be shared with a partner, because maybe you don't carry the financial reins in the relationship. Perhaps that's a job for the partner if it's something that a particular person is poor in. Another thing is, so along with that self-love, is identify your partner's strengths and weaknesses. This is a really common, actually it's almost like we're entering the time with all the online dating, and the Tinder love. It's almost like entering the menu log love stage, where relationships are starting and finishing, within a few hours. So there is definitely learning dating skills for women in particular, and this was a big mistake, was that I didn't give myself permission to identify who I really wanted to be with. I tended to let the other person just choose me and then go along with it. And so I would end up in relationships where I was obviously with the wrong person. And then being young and naive and lacking skill in that area, and thinking that love was unconditional, which is a really big thing for women, I would be trying to make a bad match work, and then thinking, you know, I need to just work harder at it. It was actually just that I was with the wrong person all along, because it was all a hormone driven, you know, that friction of, you know, passion and physicality. But really, the long-term juice just wasn't there, and it was actually never there to start with. So there is a thing about giving yourself permission to choose, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what you like.
Heather, does unconditional love exist?
I would answer probably no, especially when it comes to intimate, sustainable, you know, long-term love, because this comes down to house training, you know, which is about doing our part in the relationship. You're probably not looking at a long-term love picture if somebody thinks that it's okay to just, you know, sit on the couch and eat chocolate. You know, it's probably not part of a sustainable long love picture. So definitely the role where, you know, and it's part of a healthy love life plan for, you know, whatever an end result looks like in a relationship. So people are going to play their parts.
And what tips do you have for our audience?
Definitely, I would say have a love plan together, you know, and make time for each other. So, you know, I find it quite a common thing that when people have been in a relationship for a few years, they can get into the pattern of taking each other for granted, which may look like there's never date night. You know, there's never date night for intimacy. It's not planned. There is also that plan of that end result about who you want to be in the relationship, and then how your relationship is going to look like. I love receiving flowers. I think it's an incredibly sensual and sexy act. And so, you know, he gives me roses on a regular basis. Bit of a surprise in there, which is really nice. So it's never like it's spontaneous Tuesday every week because you set a calendar to it or something. You know, but it's a really lovely surprise. However, I've got friends. Now that was part of my juicy fantasy little movie that I played out in here before we met, that now projects out here. I've got friends who don't like holding hands, don't like getting flowers. You know, they think, what's the point of receiving something that's going to be dead in a week? So that's not part of their plan, which is fine. So they've got a different plan. So of course, it all depends on choosing what we like to start with, and then being capable of receiving it. Now, women receiving is a massive, massive secret, and also gift to a man. I've got friends, and I've got those kinds of Facebook friends where they'll be posting, you know, when a man loves a woman, he'll give her this, and you hold her and do this, and then they can't receive a cup of coffee, or they can't receive the offer of a ride home. So receiving for women, which goes into our self-love, being the fountain of love, not the well of sacrifice, it's a huge thing. My partner knows when he gives me things that I really love receiving them, and also that I'm going to honour him in having given to me. That's a big thing as well.
Thank you so much, Heather. They were some lovely and insightful tips. And if you want more information on Heather Belle Murphy and the secrets to long-lasting love, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. That is the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.